Theater 5 presents Mr. Conrad Nagel in And Dream No More.
Oh, hello, Dr. Warren.
Miss Grady?
He's seeing his last patient now. Do you want to go in?
You sure it's all right?
Oh, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Well, that's how it is, Doctor. When I walk down a busy street during the rush hour, I get nervous and I get upset.
Yes, I see. Oh, hello, Tom. With you in a minute. Yeah, now, go ahead, Mr. Peters. This is Dr. Warren. Now, you were saying?
Well, Doctor, it's just I get so terribly afraid. I want to fight and scream and claw my way out of the crowd that hems me in, and
Yes, I understand. Well, Mr. Peters, I'm going to give you some tablets.
Doctor, I don't need tranquilizers. There's nothing wrong with me physically. It's my trouble with...
Mr. Peters, I understand perfectly. Now, if you just follow my instructions. Now, will you come in again about, Tuesday at 3? Will you tell Miss Grady as you leave?
Yes, Doctor, yes. Thanks. Miss Grady, the doctor wants to see me next Tuesday.
What a profession. I wish I'd taken up brain surgery. It'd have been simpler.
Hard day?
Any other kind? You know, this morning I babied everything from an Oedipus complex to the galloping whim-whams. And sometimes I think the world's made up of nothing but a pack of cowards.
Come on now, Roger. That's not scientific. These people aren't cowards. They have underlying emotional conflicts.
I know. Neuroses, complexes, phobias, phooey. Just between you and me, I have my own theory. There's just one thing behind it all. Fear.
Fear?
That's right. You know what they fear?
Sure, all kinds of things. Sharp objects, heights, confined places.
Substitutes, my boy, all substitutes. There's one basic fear underlying all of it, the fear of death.
Well, that's an interesting theory, but...
Not theory. I'm fed up with theory. Fact. Small children are sane, right? Why? Because they haven't learned the fear of death. This is something that grows as intelligence takes over.
Well, there's some truth to that.
The incidence of insanity seems to increase with the cultural progress of a people. Why? Because intellectual training means more imagination and sensitivity. Men learn to think, and they begin to torment themselves with the question of a life beyond the grave.
Roger, if you're right, the more intelligent a man is, the sooner he goes mad. According to your theory, you should be one of these tormented people.
Oh, no, Warren. I could never be bothered by such fears.
No? Why not?
Because I'm logical. No old wives' tales of demons and flaming pits can frighten me. Because I know there is no life beyond. Death brings the blissful sleep of eternity. Yeah, what a lovely sermon I'm giving. Come on, let's get out on that golf course.
I'm ready when you are.
I guess I'm just fed up. You know, maybe I need a little rest.
You do need a rest, but maybe that slice of yours will take your mind off your work.
Okay. Let's get going. Uh-oh. Yes, Miss Grady?
Dr. Barton, there's a Mrs. Williams to see you. May I send her in?
No, Miss Grady. Dr. Warren and I are
Excuse
just...
me, Doctor, but this is her only day off. She's Mrs. Randall's housekeeper.
Oh, yes, I see. Okay, send her in. Warren, do you mind? She was sent by, one of my most influential patients. I'll get rid of her as fast as I can.
Dr. Barton?
Miss Williams, come in. Excuse us, Dr. Warren?
Of course.
Oh, please, if he's a doctor, too, I don't mind his staying. I mean, what I always say is 2 heads are better than 1.
Well, you want to sit in as a consultant, Doctor?
If you don't mind, Mrs. Williams, fine.
Very well. Now, why did you come to see me, Mrs. Williams?
I came to see you, Doctor, because Mrs. Randall said you were wonderful at solving problems of the mind.
Oh, you feel that you have a problem with the mind?
I see things.
What sort of things, Miss Williams?
Well, not exactly things, Doctor. I see events. Oh, Doctor, I don't know how to explain it, but I see things before they happen.
Oh. Well, tell me a little about this prescience, this knowing ahead.
Well, it's something I've been blessed with or cursed with ever since I was a child, but lately it's been happening almost every time I go to bed.
And these visions of yours are dreams?
Oh, no, Doctor. Oh, no, they're more than that. I see things, these events. And then in a few days or a few weeks, the thing I saw happen in my mind comes true.
It's interesting. Mrs. Williams, can you give us an example of what you mean?
Oh, yes, sir. 3 nights ago, I dreamed I was walking down an unfamiliar street. I looked at the numbers as I passed, found the one I was looking for, and turned in the walk of a house that I had never seen before. I climbed the steps to the porch and knocked on the door. A moment later, the door opened. And a stranger, a lady I had never seen before, said,
Yes?
Mrs. Donaldson,
Yes.
I'm Lucy Williams, Mrs. Randall's housekeeper. Mrs. Randall sent me with this package.
Mrs. Randall? Oh, it's my earring.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, thank you so much. I had no idea where I'd lost it. Do tell Mrs. Randall I'm very grateful.
Yes, ma'am.
And wait a minute. I can't possibly repay Mrs. Randall's kindness, but if you'd accept this token of appreciation for your trouble.
Oh, I couldn't, ma'am, really.
Please do. It's not much, but I...
And she handed me a $5 bill. I noticed it, especially because it was peculiar. Here it is. You see, this blot of red ink on the corner. Now, that was on the bill the lady gave me in my dream.
In your dream? But this is a real bill.
Yes, sir. I know.
Where did you get this?
Well, that's just it, Doctor. You see, I had my dream 3 nights ago. And then this morning, it all came true.
Came true?
Well, yes, sir. 2 nights ago, Mrs. Randall went to the opera. In the lobby, she found a pearl earring. And this morning, there was an ad in the paper. It was some lady in Westchester. So Mrs. Randall called her, and it turned out to be her earring. And Mrs. Randall asked me to return it to her.
And?
Well, it was just like in my dream. I found myself walking down the same street I'd seen in my dreams. Once again, I looked at the numbers. But I didn't really have to. The minute I saw the house, I recognized it. Again, I climbed the steps to the porch and knocked on the door. The door opened, and I was facing the woman I had met in my dream 3 nights before.
Yes?
Mrs. Donaldson?
Yes.
And I knew what I was going to say. Had to say. Oh, Doctor, it was a terrible feeling. An awful, trapped feeling. Somehow I had the idea that if I could only change the words, everything would be different. Maybe better. But I couldn't. It was just like
but if
in
you'd
my
accept
dream.
this token of appreciation for your...
She said exactly what she'd said before and handed me this bill. The same one I'd seen in my dream. The same bill, Doctor. The same one. The very same one.
Mrs. Williams. There, do you feel better now?
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry I made such a scene, Doctor, but that's why I came to you. I've got to find out what it means. It does mean something, doesn't it?
Yes, Mrs. Williams, possibly not what you think. You see, this is not a unique case.
Oh, thank heaven for that.
In fact, the thing that troubles you is quite common.
It is?
No matter what you may believe, you did not first dream this event, then have it happen to you. Actually, you experienced what the philosopher Henri Bergson called memory of the present. Now, this is what really happened. You were sent on an errand. Maybe you were tired. Maybe it was a warm day.
Doctor, it was none of those things. I was
You had
really...
a momentary lapse. There was a brief disconnection of normal nerve passages, like an electric current broken by a bolt of lightning.
Yes, but I know...
And that disturbance was enough to erase from your mind all that had gone before. So when you recovered, it seemed to you that you had lived that scene before. Actually, this morning was the first time you had ever witnessed it.
But, Doctor, the ink-stained bill...
Yes, that happened this morning, too, for the first time. And the rest is pure rationalization, details supplied by an overactive imagination. Now, my advice is to forget this obsession of yours that you dream things in advance. Go home, get some rest. And above all, stop worrying.
Worrying, Doctor? I'm not worrying about anything.
I suspect that you're worrying about something you won't admit even to yourself. I think you're afraid.
Afraid? I'm not afraid.
Mrs. Williams, frankness is a shortcut to understanding. You're not a young woman. I think you're worrying about the salvation of your soul. You're afraid of death. The mystery of the afterworld. Am I right?
Roger,
Of course you're not right. That's utterly ridiculous, Dr. Barton. I'm not afraid of death. I've never given the afterworld a single thought.
Not consciously, maybe, but Subconsciously?
Neither one.
Mrs. Williams, you say you have these dreams frequently.
Yes.
Well, let's see who is right. Would you be willing to try something that will establish the truth once and for all?
What?
Simple hypnosis, Mrs. Williams. To open your subconscious mind. What do you say?
Well, I don't know. Would it cure me of my dreams?
I think so.
Well, all right.
Good. And come in here. That couch over there, Mrs. Williams. Just lie down for a moment and relax.
All right.
I'll just try to clear your mind of any disturbing thoughts. I'll be right with you. Well, you see, Warren, you're just another one.
What's this all about, Roger?
Well, I'm sick and tired of having bleeding idiots tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. Warren, I'm going to show that woman how utterly ridiculous her dreams are.
Roger, it doesn't seem fair to make that poor soul a guinea pig to prove a point she won't understand after you've made it.
Want to sit in?
Yes, I'm very interested. But I still say...
Good. Come on, let's get on with it. Well, you look comfortable, Mrs. Williams. Now, you perfectly relaxed?
I think so, Doctor.
Stretch if you want to. That's it. Just ease all your muscles.
All right.
That's it. Now, you look up, please. No, don't turn your head away, Mrs. Williams. Look up at the light. Straight into it.
All right.
There. Now, you see how soothing it is? Relaxing. And you're very tired, aren't you? So very, very tired. That's it. You nod. Your eyes are closing gently. And now you're sleeping. Am I right, Mrs. Williams?
I am sleeping.
You see, Warren? Extremely responsive to hypnosis.
Yes.
Now, have you a vision, Mrs. Williams? Do you see anything now that you're asleep?
Yes, I see something.
What?
I am in my own room.
Roger, I don't like this.
Nonsense. She'll be better for it when she wakes up.
Roger!
Quiet. It's all right, Mrs. Williams. What is it? Look, are you having a nightmare?
No, I'm awake now. There's a redness in my room. Flames.
Flames, Mrs. Williams?
Yes, the house. The house is on fire. I run to the door. I can't open it.
Look, Roger, this is...
Please, Warren. We're getting to the phobia. This is no real fire. It's symbolism. The usual concept of hell, eternal flame, and the afterworld she secretly fears. Yes, Mrs. Williams. Now, go on.
I hear sirens. People in the streets below. I'm climbing down the fire escape. Flames from one of the windows burns my hands. I'm afraid. But I'm almost safe. A few more steps now, and I will be safe.
Watch, Warren, watch me put an end to this phobia. Mrs. Williams, do you hear me?
Yes, Doctor. I hear you. The house is crumbling.
The fire cannot harm you. It's all a dream. You've got to ignore it. And go back into the house. Is there a window near you?
Yes. The dining room. But the flames. It's burning.
You must go in that window.
Go in that window?
Yes. You must go in that window, confidently. There is no danger. The fire is all imagination. It will vanish. Please, Mrs. Williams, do as I tell you.
But I can't, Doctor. The flames.
Go in that window.
I can't.
Roger, this woman is in mortal terror.
Don't you see, Warren? If I can persuade her to do this one thing, contrary to her fears, she'll be cured. Now, listen to me, Mrs. Williams. I command you to enter that window. Do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you, Doctor.
Then obey.
Yes, Doctor. I will obey.
Good. Now, your actions. Describe your actions.
Ground and safety is near. But I must obey. Now I enter the window, back into the burning house. But it's burning hot. The flames reach out. The flames!
Martin, for God's sake, stop this.
Quiet. It's all right. There. You see, she stopped struggling and crying. Mrs. Williams. There was nothing to fear after all, was there? You're safe now, aren't you? Mrs. Williams, you're all right now?
Yes. I'm all right now.
Well, the dream has ended. You may come back to your bedroom now.
But I can't find my room. I can't find my bed.
Ah. Then your dream has changed. What is your dream now?
There's no fire. I see only darkness. I'm standing alone on an open plain. And there's mist. And I'm lonely, very lonely. I seem to be waiting. I wait and wait.
Odd twist, eh, Warren? Mrs. Williams, what are you waiting for?
I'm waiting for a person. For a certain person.
Someone you love?
Someone I hate. I'm waiting for you, Doctor.
For me?
Yes, Doctor. Here's where you sent me. I wait for you. Because sooner or later you'll come. And I'm waiting for you. You will see, Doctor. When you arrive here, you will see. You and I together in this place. I will greet you. Oh, how I will greet you.
Roger, what is this? What's going on?
I don't know, Warren. I don't know. Some sort of dream with me as its focal point. Subconscious resentment, maybe, of my interfering with her fantasies. I don't quite understand. Mrs. Williams, wake up. I command you to wake.
Oh, yes, Doctor. What is it? I must have dropped off for a moment. You were saying something about hypnosis?
Yes, it's over, Mrs. Williams. Our experiment is finished.
Oh, you mean I've been treated? Is everything all right?
Yes, everything is all right. You can go home now and dream no more. Morning, Miss Grady.
Oh, Dr. Barton, Dr. Barton.
Well, what's the matter, Miss Grady?
Oh, it's just such a shock. She was in here only yesterday. No,
Who was in here? What are you talking about?
Mrs. Williams, haven't you seen the morning paper?
No. Why? What happened?
Well, the fire at Mrs. Randall's house last night.
Fire. Mrs. Randall's. Here, let me see that paper. Firemen got the fire under control, and all members of the family were rescued. The only victim was the housekeeper, Mrs. Lucy Williams. She was seen to crawl from her bedroom window and climb down the fire escape to within a few feet of safety.
Roger, have you seen the paper?
Warren, I did it. I forced her to go through that window. I told her there was no danger. No danger.
Oh, Roger, it's a coincidence. It wasn't your fault. The paper says she died instantly.
Died instantly. But the plane, Warren. That open plane she talked about.
Roger, listen, you said it yourself.
Said what?
You said you needed a rest.
I'm not afraid of death, Warren. I'm not. There's nothing to fear. Nothing. Most men are cowards, but not me. She was lying to me about the plane. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid.
You do need a rest, Roger. A long rest. And you have to regain your faith. Call the psychiatric clinic, Miss Grady.
Yes.
Tell them to send an ambulance. Right away.
Theater 5 has presented And Dream No More, starring Mr. Conrad Nagel, written by Nelson Bond, directed by Ted Bell. Featured in the cast, Vicki, Vola, Jim Dukas, Francis Cheney, Lorraine McMartin, and Gordon Spencer. Script editor, Jack C. Wilson. Original music by Ralph Herman. Orchestra under the direction of Glenn Osser. Executive producer for Theater 5, Mr. Lee Bowman. We invite your comments. Write to Theater 5, New York 23, New York. That's Theater 5, New York 23, New York. This is Fred Foy speaking.
This is the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.